Welcome, beautiful people of all ages, shapes, and colors, to another episode of the Hit Your Free Throws podcast, where we encourage you to stick to the basics. I'm one of your co-hosts, TV, aka TV on Basketball, alongside my co-host, Jay, aka the Knockdown Jay. Happy New Year, my guy.
Yes, sir. TV 2024 is underway, and we're kicking it off with, dare I say, a trade?
A trade, yes. When we talk about buzzer beaters, the NBA gave us a trade at like December 30th, right at the buzzer. So we have a big trade to announce to talk about in today's episode. I gave my short thoughts on it on the Hit Your Free Throws page the other day, but we're gonna go fully in depth into it today. And like we even mentioned last week, a New Year's resolution for every single NBA team. So when we talk about when we're talking about this episode, we're telling you we're not missing a single team. So that's going to be an awesome topic. We're going to go through that. We're going to go through how we're going to do it as well, because I promise you we're going to get to each of your teams. And then afterwards, we're going to have a nice little draft for you guys. Once again, a staple of the Hit Your Free Throws podcast. And of course, we're ending it off with a quiz. So another great episode for you guys. A banger episode to start off 2024. So you know it's a Hit Your Free Throws podcast when you have a great episode like that. So it's going to be a great one today, and we're going to get into that really quickly. But before we start this episode, we do have to plug our socials. Remember to follow our TikTok and Instagram, our individual ones, down in the description below, the Knockdown J / the Routine Jumper, and of course myself, TV on Basketball. In terms of the Hit Your Free Throws pod, follow us for the best daily NBA content on TikTok and Instagram. We got the clips, we got the breaking news, we got all that stuff over there, so check those out. If you're listening to us on any of the podcast networks, Spotify, Apple, leave us a review, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really do appreciate all your support. And if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you will not miss an episode. Jay, it's already, we ended up 2023 on a bang. Also, I didn't even mention this. Jay, December has come to a close.
I thought we were going to get past this. Dang it.
Well, next week, guys, will be the payoff for Jay, as he lost the second month in a row. It came down to the wire once again. I'm telling you, these Daily NBA Picks Challenge go head-to-head to the very end, but I just pulled it out at the end, and Jay is going to have to do his punishment next week. You're going to have to check that out, because it's going to be a little bit different if you watch the pod and then when you check out the clip. So it's going to be a little bit different over there. But yeah, we're going to pay that off next week. But today we're going to go strictly on these topics, and we're going to go through them really quickly. But yeah, all that stuff will be dealt with next week. Jay, ready to get into this trade?
TV, we got a trade. We got 30 teams. We got a draft. We got a quiz. We got to lock in. We got to lock in.
And of course, like I mentioned, we're starting off with the trade because Jay, the madman, did it. Masai Ujiri actually pulled off a trade. He did it. OG Anunoby is now a New York Knick, and he's traveling over to New York alongside Malachi Flynn and Precious Achiuwa. And who do the Raptors get in return? RJ Barrett, the hometown boy, coming over back to Toronto. We have Emmanuel Quickley and a 2024 second-round pick, which is the Detroit Pistons, which means it's the 31st pick. So we have that trade coming back to Toronto. Jay, I'm going to throw this over to you. Who won this trade? Just plain simple. Who won this trade?
Dude, I'm not going to lie to you. On paper, it sounds like you would say, well, the New York Knicks got the best player in the trade, right, with OG Anunoby. But I don't think it's that black and white, bro. I think that Toronto came out of this on top. Believe it or not, there was once upon a time where when OG Anunoby was originally on the trade block, there was conversations around the idea of being able to get 3 first-round picks for OG on the trade market. This was about a year ago when he had still about a year and a half left on his contract, a little bit more space, definitely was playing a lot better last season. And there were probably more suitors, considering there were a few more teams that had legitimate money to spend. And we all understand that OG Anunoby is an expiring contract soon to be this upcoming summer. So now you look at this and you think about what the Toronto Raptors philosophy has been really for the last 2 to 3 years. We don't want to be bad. That's the simple philosophy of the Toronto Raptors. We have not traded the guys that everybody thinks it's time to let go of. For what reason? Because we don't want the expense of potentially having a bad season.
Yeah.
How do you absolve yourself of that? You get 2 starter caliber players in Emmanuel Quickley, who a lot of people are seeing as the apple of the eye in this trade. A lot of people almost view Emmanuel Quickley as the big target acquired by the Toronto Raptors, even more so than RJ Barrett, former, former third overall pick. So now let's really think about what Toronto gets from this aside from just two starters. Emmanuel Quickley is going to be a stud for Toronto. Dropped 14 points the other day, was a +9 or a +7 in the most recent game.
And he would have played more, but he had like foul trouble for like most of the first half.
Yeah, and he was playing well in the time that he was on the floor.
Yeah.
Let's remember something else too. Emmanuel Quickley has shown us potential as a starter before. Let's not forget, in 21 games last year, he averaged nearly 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists when he started for the Knicks. That's huge. Emmanuel Quickley provides a pick and roll threat, something that outside of Dennis Schroeder, Toronto does not really have. Let's be honest. They don't have a pick and roll maestro on their team, really. He's one of the better pick and roll point guards in the league. He easily steps on Toronto's team as the best three-point shooter by far in terms of being able to bring legitimate spacing. And then let's tack in RJ Barrett. Homegrown kid playing with a newfound fire, a team that wants him, a city that will back him, right? Something that's different from the New York Knicks. Right. From day one with the Knicks, it was, dang, we didn't get Zion. Dang, we didn't get Ja Morant. And from day one, it seemed like RJ Barrett was playing from behind because Zion had taken the league by storm. Ja Morant won Rookie of the Year. And it seemed like RJ Barrett kind of fell by the wayside. Now he gets a redemption arc in the place he's from with a chance to kind of reinvigorate not only his own individual career, but really open up his play style on a team that probably will lean more into him. So I got to be honest. I love OG Anunoby, and I'm sure you'll get more into the Knicks side of this, knowing that it's your boy that's headed over there. You can talk about what he provides and all of that stuff. But in terms of what the Toronto Raptors were able to get combined with what we know their philosophy as a team is, I think they did exactly what they were set out to do with a guy like OG on the trade block. The only thing I worry about is that they moved too soon, but I still think that this might have ended up being like the best thing they could have got at this point in time.
No, honestly, like what this trade reminds me of, and I'm going to say this off the bat, is kind of like the Tyrese Halliburton trade between them and between the Kings and the Pacers, because I feel like both teams got exactly what they needed. You got to look at I'm going to start with like what the Raptors got, of course, with RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley. You got to remember this. Emmanuel Quickley, for as good of a player he is, was never going to work beside Jalen Brunson. It was just never going to work. So as good as he was, this is the same problem that the Dallas Mavericks had with Luka Doncic and Jalen Brunson. As much as these two players are good and that both have all-star potential, as a duo in the backcourt, you're not going to win games with Luka, who doesn't play much defense at all already, and then Jalen Brunson, who's an undersized point guard. That's just not going to work in today's NBA. So what do? They trade Jalen Brunson to the Knicks. Sure, they didn't get the best package available, but they had to get off of him just because they weren't going to pay him the money. Think about that the same way the Knicks are treating Emmanuel Quickley. This the weirdest stat I saw in all this is that Emmanuel Quickley has the highest plus minus of every Knick in history. Any New York Knick in NBA history, which is crazy to me. Like 200 above Patrick Ewing, which is crazy. But yeah. Going back to the point, Emmanuel Quickley, the Knicks, like you could tell by the Knicks comment section, they know that he has that all-star potential in him. They knew it, but it just wasn't going to work with this team. So what did they do? They get RJ Barrett, who at this point, I don't like saying this, but a lot of people think that along with the contract is kind of a negative asset at this point in his career. I don't like saying that, especially as a hometown guy, but that's how a lot of the league viewed it as. And then you trade an expiring contract in Emmanuel Quickley, avoiding the ability to pay him for someone who fits your team perfectly in OG Anunoby. And look, no one talked about this in Toronto. No one gave a lick about OG Anunoby in Toronto. But the first game you saw with the Knicks, people knew what he was all about. Hit threes and hold one of the best scorers in the league in Anthony Edwards. But on the time that he was on him, 4 for 14 shooting. Sure, and had a fantastic game otherwise. But when he was paired up against OG Anunoby, 4 for 14 shooting, like could barely get a shot off against him. That's what OG Anunoby does. And with the injury of Mitchell Robinson, they got significantly worse defensively. So what do you do to combat that? You get one of the best defensive stoppers in the league. Sure, he doesn't have maybe the potential of Emmanuel quickly for someone to be, an all-star caliber player, but you know what you have in OG. And this is the same argument I made when the Kings were potentially trading Keegan Murray to the Toronto Raptors. Sometimes you don't want to keep betting on potential. You got to go with the sure thing. And OG Anunoby, as he's shown in his first game with the Knicks, is the sure thing where you can put him on the best guy every single night, whether it's a forward or a guard, and he's not a liability on the offensive end. Those type of players are very rare in the NBA, and that's what makes them super, super valuable. So the Knicks got exactly what they need. And in terms of the Toronto Raptors, they need to change something up in this offense, man. This offense has been kind of stagnant the last couple of years. And you mentioned the three-point shooting. Emmanuel quickly comes in and becomes the best three-point shooter. You know who was the best three-point shooter before he came here? Scotty Barnes. That's how much he improved. But we needed to bring someone else there. We need someone in the starting lineup that didn't force guards to go under the screen. Because when we had Dennis Schroeder, you could go under the screen and just dare him to shoot, and it'll be fine. Emmanuel quickly gives them an extra element to that game. And then RJ Barrett, sure, he might seem as a negative asset, but in Toronto, in his hometown, like you said, he feels reinvigorated. This is a fresh start for him, a place where he knows playing for Team Canada, he will always get love. He'll always try to get the support and get that extra push that he needs. And he's now going to have it in Toronto, playing for his childhood team. So I think for both teams, sure, you might people looked at it initially and said that, the Raptors won this. They obviously got the talent. Mm. But when you think of fit on both sides, I think both teams got exactly what they needed. This is, like I mentioned, the Tyrese Halliburton and Sabonis trade. It didn't seem fair in the beginning, but once you see both teams the way that they shaped out, it kind of worked out for both.
Yeah, and I think something else that you have to put in perspective is what the New York Knicks are looking at. Let's start with the coach, Tom Thibodeau. He's not looking to develop young talent. We understand that. That's why they were able to move off of, granted, not nearly as young as these guys, but they moved off of Obi Toppin, former 8th overall pick, so quickly, right? Because of the idea that developing him behind Julius Randle, despite how much of a positive asset he was off the bench behind Julius, there's still this aspect that he has a game that is still relatively limited, and Tom Thibodeau not necessarily known for his development. Same thing goes for Emmanuel quickly. Same thing you can argue for RJ Barrett, right? When it comes to younger guys, maybe the only person I could think of on this roster that's gotten real true favor from Tom Thibodeau is probably Quentin Grimes. And we know why that is, because he came out and he was already one of the stronger defensive guards out the gate, which is funny because he didn't really do his bread and butter out of Houston on the defensive end, but he really carved out a role for himself defensively for this team. Now, you look at what OG Anunoby brought in just game one. He opens up the floor for a team. Let's make it abundantly clear. The Knicks don't have that much more spacing than the Toronto Raptors do. Let's be real. Yes. But he instantly brings a little bit more spacing to that team. He fleshes out their lineup a little bit now because you can let Dante DiVincenzo play at the 2 guard. Josh Hart can be more of a 2 guard. Let's be real. This Knicks team doesn't really have a large forward rotation. That was probably one of the bigger things was hurting them. Was they were playing undersized guards, guarding 3s, and sometimes having a guard like small ball 4s pretty frequently. OG Anunoby, as you mentioned beforehand, has a flexibility to play up and down the roster, and it almost in a way saves them a roster spot, which is kind of funny because they have the 11 and 12th man spot kind of still there available. Yeah. But here's another thing that's super important. OG Anunoby is the perfect plug and play player for a team like the New York Knicks who still has the draft capital to go out and get another big fish. That's the other thing that you have to keep in mind, because whether OG Anunoby is included in the trade or it's a trade centered around Julius Randle that sends him out and brings a big wig in, we know that OG will be able to fit next to whoever it is they go and get, because we know the Knicks are sleeping giants, right? We always say it. We're like, oh, the Knicks are going to be that team that goes out. The optimistic Knicks fan always thinks they're getting the next up-and-coming superstar, but they've never had a cupboard like the one they have right now. They've never been as competent both in the front office and on the floor as they are right now. So they've never been more of an attractive place for a superstar player to come via trade, via free agency than right now. And having a guy like Jalen Brunson in the backcourt, who we know now has the capability to play at an all-star level, having a plug-and-play player like OG Anunoby at the wing position, who you know instantly, you can tell from Tibbs, trusted him out the gate, guard the best player on the opposing team, as you mentioned beforehand with Anthony Edwards. You have those two pillars. Now go get the guy, right? I hate to say Becky Hammon was right about Jalen Brunson, not being able to be like the leader on a championship team or whatever, but it's just historically proven, right?
Yeah.
Outside of maybe an Allen Iverson, who didn't necessarily win the championship, an Isaiah Thomas, and a Stephen Curry.
Yeah, that's it.
6'3" and smaller is not typically your best player on a championship team. So although I think that Jalen Brunson is a cog in a system that can get you to the NBA Finals, is he the best player that's going to carry the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end? That is something that I feel like history does not necessarily support. So they have a real support system now with the New York Knicks that could, if they go after the big fish the way we kind of all anticipate, they have a really strong foundation here. I agree with you. I think if you had to pick a team, I'm still going to lean with Toronto. But if we're just looking at it on a clean slate and just saying, yo, how did everybody do? I think everybody came out relatively unscathed here.
Yeah, 100%. Like, the Knicks got exactly what they needed, and the Raptors got the exact depth that they needed. Mm-hmm. They have someone now who, in Emmanuel Quickley, who we've seen when given the opportunity to guys like Tyrese Maxey, to Jalen Brunson. Once they get the opportunity to get those big time minutes, to get those opportunities to be on the ball, which Emmanuel Quickley had, again, like you mentioned, had some moments there in New York, but hasn't had the full-time position.
Yeah.
Now there's a chance he gets this in Toronto, and who knows what he can develop into. So we are betting on the fact that he is going to be being our lead guard going forward for the next how many so years, next to Scotty Barnes. And you take a chance on someone who was a former third overall pick, already going to be a fan favorite here in Toronto. So I think when you look at both sides won in their own ways, and we're not really going to see who the true winner is until we get into the playoffs, or maybe 4 or 5 years down the line. It's going to be the same thing with the Sacramento Kings, Indiana Pacers trade. You could see the Pacers completely get turned around by Tyrese Halliburton, being basically a top 5 point guard this year. But then you also see the impact that Sabonis has had on the Kings team to make them so versatile on the offensive end, and creating them one of the best offenses in basketball. So it's going to be a while to see who ends up winning this trade, but I think as an initial thought, and the fact that both teams won the first day is absolutely fantastic as well. But either one of them, you can make a good argument that they got exactly what they need. I feel like we're getting a lot more of these even trades nowadays in the NBA, and I think this is just another one of them.
Yeah, I gotta agree wholeheartedly. This was one of the better ways to kick off the new year with a really good trade that's gonna definitely probably, in one way or another, benefit both teams, whether it's right now or down the line. I think, like you said before, and both teams definitely come out of this feeling good about themselves in terms of how they're going to move forward. That's great to see, because we've had a lot of lopsided trades before, especially when it's talking about really talented players. OG Anunoby, all these guys in the grouping, really good players, but I think they all fill a need on their newfound teams in a way that is going to really make the Eastern Conference a little bit more interesting down the stretch.
100%. Quick question before we move on to the next topic. Is Pascal next? You think Pascal's getting traded next?
In terms of Toronto, or in terms of across the league?
In terms of Toronto, do you think this OG Anunoby trade means that they're going to be satisfied with, keeping Siakam and trying to compete that way? Or do you think that he needs to be the next pillar?
I think we'll get to it a little bit when we do our resolutions, but I'll say simply this way: Pascal being on this team does not actualize what they're moving towards. If you look at even the players they acquired in RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, they lean more to Scotty Barnes' timeline. That's kind of the best way to put it.
100%. I agree the same way. We're going to get more into it in the next topic. But yeah, let us know down below. What are your thoughts on this OG Anunoby trade? Who won it? Who lost? If there's any losers at all? Or do you think if Pascal Siakam is going to be next on the chopping block? Jay, let us move on to the next topic. And like we mentioned earlier, we're going to be doing the New Year's resolutions for every single NBA team. And you must be thinking, how are you going to get through all these teams? There are 30 teams, and you guys love to ramble. Yes, we understand we love to ramble. So we are putting ourselves at a limit. We are giving ourselves 5 words or less to give our New Year's resolutions. Some of them are going to be pretty straightforward, and we'll move past them quickly. But there might be a few, small elaboration here and there if need be. But we're going to try and get to every single one of the teams, and we're going to promise you that we're not going to like favor one team over another at some points. We're going to try to give everyone some equal time. Jay, are you ready to get into this? There's 30 teams. You got to buckle up.
I'm hyped, bro. 30 teams. We're going to bang it out, though. I feel like we're going to make good time.
Yes. New year, new me. This is what this is all about in this new topic. So we're going to start it off in the Eastern Conference in the Atlantic Division. We started off with this team at the beginning of the episode, and we're going to continue here. The Toronto Raptors, Jay, your New Year's resolution.
Give Scotty Barnes the keys. I'm telling you, man, it's the best way to be able to lean into this new version of the Toronto Raptors. Give them the keys, lean into this timeline, gotta go.
I think mine's sort of similar, but not really. My New Year's resolution, move off expiring contracts. I think the Raptors know that Scotty Barnes should have the keys, but it's up to Masai Ujiri to be out of his own ego and trade away the guys that he so dearly built up for years. Pascal Siakam, trade for Gary Trent Jr. They're the ones who need to go. He started with OG Anunoby. It's a good first step. The first step to doing this stuff is accepting your fate, and I think he did a good job. So I'm gonna say move off expiring contracts. All right, next team, the Brooklyn Nets.
Mikal Bridges is the future. I think that's super important. Lean into Mikal Bridges' development. If anything is more important than when it's talking about the Brooklyn Nets this year, it's making sure you understand that Mikal Bridges is a foundational piece. And if you believe that he is an all-star caliber player, then let him rock.
Interesting, because mine's kind of opposite to that. Don't hold just to hold. And what I mean by that means none of your guys should be untouchable. None of your guys. If the right deal comes up, then make the trade. Whether it's multiple first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, whether it's a decent trade package for like a Cam Johnson or something like that. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to deal. I know you don't have your draft picks, but don't be afraid to deal. If the right trade comes up, I don't think any of these guys are going to be a superstar type player for them. Don't hold just to hold.
Interesting. I like that one.
All right. We talked about this team earlier too. The New York Knicks.
Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. You have a process going here as the Knicks that is really building something. You even got sneaky pick in the trade, Precious Achiuwa as a backup center with Mitchell Robinson out right now. Isaiah Hartenstein is holding down the fort, but you get Precious Achiuwa, you get OG Anunoby, you still have trade assets in the cupboard. Keep playing the game that you're playing. Don't mess it up. You're a good basketball team. Don't mess it up.
For the Knicks, it's kind of funny. You want to, Knicks.
Oh my God, that's sick. TVS like the exact opposite of what I'm saying.
You want the Knicks, man. There's someone out there. There's someone out there you can overpay to trade. There's someone out there.
That's sick.
Give you what, man? We haven't had a Knicks blunder in a long time.
Oh.
We haven't had a Knicks blunder in a long time. We haven't had the Amari Stoudemire type contract, all this other stuff in a minute.
Oh my God!
You want to, Knicks.
You're a sick individual.
Do it for the content.
You are a sick individual.
Do it for the content.
Oh my gosh!
Give us another Stephen A. rant. But yeah, look, man. I mean, to be serious at all this, the Knicks, I feel like in a position more now than ever that they can go for a third or fourth piece and not feel too bad about it, especially with how good the other pieces have been showing so far. OG Anunoby, you have Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle. Adding another guy to the mix, I don't think it's going to be as hurtful as it was in the years past. All right, next one, the Boston Celtics.
Man, they're another one of those teams where my resolution is front run like a front runner. You are one of the best teams in the NBA, and you find yourself playing down to competition every single year, I feel like we have this conversation about the Boston Celtics actually. And this year, they're more stacked than ever. Where we're having is Derek White actually over conversations when the reality is he is definitely one of the most underrated players in the NBA, but he's played so well as the fourth or fifth option on the Boston Celtics that we're like finding reasons to nitpick them because we know how good they are as a roster. They have, outside of the Denver Nuggets, I think you can make an argument that like Boston has the best starting five in the NBA when healthy. Like you can make an argument they have a better starting five than the Denver Nuggets if you want to really lean into it. Act like it. Act like you are the best team in the NBA because they're literally on paper, statistically, offense, defense. There's nothing that tells us you aren't.
Yeah. Okay, quick question before I say mine. Derek White, All-Star.
I can't give him that. I can't give him that. But he's gonna be a lot of people's. He's gonna be a lot of people's like,
Andrew Wiggins. Like Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, he's gonna be one of those guys that if he gets a lot of burn as a legitimate All-Star candidate, I don't think people are gonna argue with it. Should he make the All-Star game? You're leaning somewhere crazy if he actually makes the game though. So can't give him that much though.
If he makes it over Trae Young, I'm actually gonna turn off the TV. I swear to God. Okay.
That's the guy they love to pick on.
Exactly. Here's my resolution for them though. Don't fall for bad habits. We've seen them crumble before. I went off on them a little bit last week for kind of like living and dying by the same way.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed with this team, Jason Tatum, for someone who is a great athletic three man, attack the rim more. You don't have to keep settling for these step back threes all the time. I know you can hit them. But at the same time, you're not that elite of a shooter to be doing that on a regular basis. Get to the rim, get to the paint. I know that their system is based around 3-point shooting, but they gotta find ways to balance it more out where they're attacking the paint more. Don't fall to bad habits. Like you mentioned, they're one of the best teams in the league. Play like it. You have the personnel. Go forward with it. Moving on to the final team in the Athletic Division, the 76ers.
This is our best shot.
Really?
Listen, Joel Embiid is leading the league in scoring. He's having one of the best two-way seasons in the league as one of the better rim protectors in the NBA right now, while also being one of the best offensive players in the NBA. Nick Nurse has made him, or I would say Nick Nurse has unlocked a playmaking ability in Joel Embiid that I think we've all wondered about, but never were truly able to see under former head coaches. His playmaking usage has increased dramatically this season, and he's become much more of a threat as a passer on ball. The arrival of Tyrese Maxey has been one of the most surprising yet intriguing stories to watch so far this season. And guess what? The Sixers were the sleeping giant we were waiting on for a guy like OG Anunoby. Pascal Siakam's name also has come up. DeJounte Murray, Donovan Mitchell. There's a lot of guys that we're going to end up talking about on the trade market further down the line this month. But they are a team that, yes, okay, OG Anunoby's on the Knicks now. That does not mean that the Sixers are not still up at the table looking around for the next guy they can add to really solidify themselves. This is the year, right? Last year when Joel made MVP, a lot of people felt like it was the sympathy MVP, right? Yeah. Nikola Jokic should have won it a third time. But look, Joel Embiid, it's about time. With how well you've been playing, let's give it to him. But this year, I'm telling you, it's between him and Shea, and it doesn't feel fair to even give either one. But Joel Embiid, in terms of two-way play, might be the lead guy. This might be their best chance to really stamp their place in the Eastern Conference. They gotta make do with that.
Interesting, because honestly, I don't know if my quote is the opposite, but it's kind of going against that. I say let this year ride out. I say let it ride out.
Wow.
Get the roster you got. Tyrese Maxey has proven to be a legitimate number 2 in this league. Getting another player just hurts him, I think, in my opinion. You have someone here who has potential to be an all-NBA guard. You don't want to mess that up and bring in the wrong person, whether it's a Zach LaVine, whether it's a DeMar DeRozan, whether it's a Pascal Siakam. That's just going to take away chances from Tyrese Maxey and letting him be the player that he needs to be. Embiid is an MVP level candidate. Tyrese Maxey is an all-NBA guard. You got what you need. You got your depth. Tobias Harris is having one of the best years in Philly that he's had in a minute. Just let this year ride out. You just gotta let it fly that way. All right, let's move on to the Central Division. Starting with your Bulls.
Sell the farm, buddy. Oh my gosh. I've said this on the podcast before, man. We got 3 guys that don't need to be here and a 4th who I'd love to keep, but probably has the best trade value of them all. Time to do what you do. It's time to do what most teams fail to do, but probably need to do.
Yeah.
Handle your business.
Mine is basically in the same vein. Follow in Toronto's footsteps.
That's paid.
Look, we made the first move. We made our first move.
This is true.
The Bulls, do the same thing. Do it already. Rip the Band-Aid off. I know you're somehow winning some games now. I think you're actually moving up in the playing standings. But look, we know this is going nowhere. Follow in Toronto's footsteps. Rip the Band-Aid. Start the rebuild. Plain and simple. Next team. The Milwaukee Bucks.
Figure it out. And that's because they have one of the best duos in the NBA. And it feels like despite the fact that they're 24-9, we haven't felt it. And I think when we feel it, it's going to be crazy how good they look, both on the floor and on paper. They've been good. I think they can be great.
Okay. Mine starts into that. More Damon Giannis action.
Yeah.
I feel like they're great individually and you get those moments from them, but why not use a bit of them together? The Giannis pick and roll with Damian Lillard. That could be lethal. And we've said this before while the trade even happened. Get those 2 guys involved. These are 2 of the best at their position in the league. Actually use it to your advantage. The Milwaukee Bucks have a championship contender. You gotta use both these guys and use them a lot together.
Yeah.
All right. The Indiana Pacers.
Let's make the playoffs. This is going to be one of my real stamps for this year. The Indiana Pacers need to make the playoffs. We need to see what Tyrese Halliburton looks like on that level. We saw a glimpse of it in the in-season tournament. Yes, that had a lot riding on it, but not enough for us to really know what he looks like as the lead engine on a playoff/championship caliber team. We know Indiana isn't there yet in terms of championship. But could they make some teams in the Eastern Conference sweat in a first-round matchup? Yes, but I want to see it.
Okay. I like that. For me, make Siakam number 1 target. I think that the Pacers have something. I think the Pacers have something here. And when you have oversaturation at the guard position, when you have Benedict Mathurin, Andrew Nembhard, Buddy Hield, and you don't really have that number 2 guy next to Tyrese, which I think he would really benefit with, get someone like Pascal Siakam. He fits exactly what you're doing, the fast-paced offense, the athleticism, someone who can catch lobs, who can hit a 3 here and there, someone who can create for himself so Tyrese doesn't have to do everything.
Yeah.
He's like the perfect guy to add to that team. Make Siakam the number 1 target.
I like that. That's an interesting name for that team. I like that.
Okay, next one. The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Keep Donovan Mitchell happy. It's the only thing that you can really lean on this season. With all the injuries they have going on with Darius Garland, Evan Mobley missing time, the Ricky Rubio thing feels like forever ago at this point.
Right? Yeah.
Man, if he even remotely starts becoming disgruntled, this gets sticky quick for the Cleveland Cavaliers because they were already on a minutes restriction, so to speak, in terms of how long they were going to be able to make this pairing with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland last. But if he starts getting a little antsy, there's some teams out there that could make something shake if they really are feeling frisky. They need to make sure that boy is still feeling good about the squad they got.
Are you sure about that? My New Year's resolution, sell high on Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, my TV's feeling away today. He's feeling away.
Hey, look, it's okay to admit your mistakes. It's okay to say that this backcourt of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell is not going to work. I like the direction that they had pre-Donovan Mitchell trade. Garland, Mobley, and Jared Allen moving forward. I felt like what they really needed to succeed was a big, really impactful wing that can score. Donovan Mitchell can score.
Yeah.
But him and Darius Garland in the backcourt, it's okay to admit it's not going to work. Luka, the Mavs admitted it with Luka and Jalen Brunson. The Knicks admitted it just recently with Quickly and Brunson. The Cavs, you have a top 3 shooting guard in the league. You can get the farm back for him because you know some teams are going to give some for Donovan Mitchell, who's a near 30-point per game scorer. Sell high on him. You have other great pieces around this team. If you can get more depth or even just a big time wing, you got something special there brewing in Cleveland. It's okay to admit those mistakes. Sell high on Donovan Mitchell. Interesting. Okay, next one. That. Final team in the Central Division, the Detroit Pistons.
Double digits. Come on, man. Let's just try to end the season with 10 wins, man. How about this? As long as we end up having a better record than the worst team in the NBA history, being with the Charlotte Bobcats, I think you can say this has been a successful season. Let's just focus on double digits, though. Let's focus on the borderline. We're at 3 wins right now. Got our first victory for the first time in 2 months. Hey man, let's just look ahead to double digits. We got a lot of games to go.
I don't even care about the win total anymore for the Pistons at this point. They're trash. They're trash. That's it. My New Year's resolution: actually plan out your roster. Like make it make sense. Don't just throw these like these wash away former top lottery picks and see if it works out. Mm-hmm. Actually make this roster make sense. Build around Cade Cunningham the way it was supposed to be. Don't just throw things together and like just hope it works. Yeah. Actually plan out your roster. Plain and simple. All right, final division in the Eastern Conference.
Okay.
The Southeast Division. Starting off with the Orlando Magic.
Figure out the guard of the future. You got Cole Anthony on the expiring, Markelle Fultz on the expiring. Love Jalen Suggs as a defensive guard. Got Anthony Black, who does a lot of everything, but still not really solidified in any real individual way as an on-ball threat. You got to figure out if it's a combination of those guys. You got to figure out if it's one of those guys that can step up and really be that dude. Or do you have to consolidate and go get somebody completely out of left field to really narrow things down and get yourself that big-time guard next to Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero? Figure out that guard.
Okay, yours kind of ties in with mine. Buy low on Zach LaVine.
Oh my gosh, TV. What in the world?
I think that the Magic, surprisingly this year, their strength has been their defense. They need some shot creation out of that guard position because you got it with Franz, you got it with Paolo. You need some shot creation in that guard position. It feels like there's no market for Zach LaVine. Buy low.
TV, are you trying to give me PTSD? I think I'm done dealing with the Orlando Magic, bro. Like, Jesus.
It seems like they have a good relationship, no?
Oh, my God. No. How about, the answer is no.
Look. The Knicks almost sued the Raptors earlier this year, and we still made a trade. I don't want to hear about another fleecing. This can happen. They have a good relationship already. Buy low on Zach LaVine. I think that's the perfect.
Okay. You have a point there. The Knicks Toronto background music definitely is something that doesn't get talked about enough. But yeah, you have a point.
Hey, look, in the mix of all this, I think the Knicks dropped the lawsuit, so that's hilarious to me. But all right, next team. Next team, the Miami Heat.
Leaning to Jaime Jaquez. I think they have to get an understanding of what the future after Jimmy Butler is at some point. Like, I know we hate to talk about that because we love this guard of guys that we have right now that are still like Hall of Fame caliber players. But like the Miami Heat, there's going to come a point where the Miami Heat are going to have to start looking forward in terms of what their core is long term. And Jaime Jaquez looks like a dude that's here for today and tomorrow. So I think they should really play into that.
I like that. I was going to do something Jaime Jaquez related, but I'm going to do this. Keep Bam the focal point. Even when the playoffs come around, I know you want to rely on playoff Jimmy like you have in the last couple of years, but make sure that your focus is Bam on the offensive end. He's shown this year that he has the ability. He just needs to know that it's his time in the playoffs as well. Make him the focal point. Everyone else can build off him. He's a 20-10 guy that can average 6 assists. You don't get many big men like that in the league. Take advantage of it. Keep Bam the focal point of the offense. All right, next team, the Hawks.
Give Bogdan the damn ball. Oh my gosh. Like this dude, he's got to be the front runner for sixth man of the year, by the way, right now. I'm just keeping it a bean. Like, I'm sorry. I understand that the Hawks are not that great. Bogdan Bogdanovic makes this team so good when he is on the floor. Like, he is a plus 12 differential offensively for this team when he is on the floor next to Trae Young. They are a positive team on the floor with Bogdan on the floor when Trae Young is off the floor. How many Trae Young teams can you think of off the top of your head where the guard that came off the bench for him or was considered the lead guard while Trae Young sat was a positive player in the time that he was on the bench? Not. Because guess what? The Hawks have the same problem, or tend to usually have the same problem that the Golden State Warriors usually have, which is when Trae Young or Stephen Curry are not on the floor, they don't know how to play offense. Yeah. Guess who knows how to play offense for the Atlanta Hawks? Bogdan Bogdanovic. Give that boy the ball, please.
I like that. He's very underrated. Definitely at the top of the Sixth Man of the Year nominations as well. For me, Trae Young is your guy. Stick to that. I know there's a lot of internet discourse around Trae Young and like him not being an efficient player and all that. Mm-hmm. He's proven year in and year out. He'll give you your 30 and 10, and there's not many of the guys that can give you that on a year-to-year basis. Realize you have Trae Young as your guy and actually build around it and make something that works. I don't care what moves it is, but make sure that this team works around Trae Young. The Washington Wizards.
Just keep swimming.
Yeah, we don't have to be long on this. Be proactive in the offseason. Don't let this whole Jordan Poole thing simmer. Just trade him after this year. We clearly see it doesn't work. Just be proactive, plain and simple. The Charlotte Hornets.
Just keep swimming. Bro, I'm going to be honest. This division is tough. And the Hornets and the Wizards in particularly, this is going to be a looped-in thing between the two of them. These are two teams that need to just spend this season figuring out what they have. And that's okay. Look, we understand. And it's kind of sad for the Hornets specifically because it feels like they've been in a rebuild forever. Yeah. But here's my thing. You have to figure out what you have. Is Brandon Miller worth the third overall, worth the second overall pick, the second or third overall pick in the NBA draft? Right, because that was a debate. Scoot versus Brandon Miller. That's the thing. Was he worth all the hype to the point that getting him at third was considered a steal, or was Scoot at second the right choice for the Portland Trail Blazers, right? That's what you needed to identify. Is LaMelo Ball, who's missed a good amount of time with injury so far this year, you just paid him, but is he worth what the Supermax contract you just, or the rookie extension contract that you just gave him? Is he truly worth that kind of money moving forward, building upon him? Or is that something that you might have to revisit soon, and like sooner than later? The Wizards, you know Kyle Kuzma is here for the long haul, but you know Bilal Coulibaly is. Yeah. Figure it out. These are two teams that I think need to just use this season to, like I said, just keep swimming. Figure out what you have in your room right now, and in the offseason, cut off the loose ends.
Okay. Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. For me, the Charlotte Hornets, New Year's resolution: stay out of any media. Just stay out of it. Facts. Stay out of any media.
TV might be the best resolution of this entire show. Might potentially be the best resolution of the entire show.
Just stay out of any media. You're lucky that Josh Giddey headlines are taking this away from you. Just stay out of any media. That's it. All right, move on to the West. Starting out with the Northwest Division, the Trailblazers.
Believe in Scoot Henderson. Okay. That man is resurged over the last 4 to 5 games. He's balling. He already has 3 double-doubles this year. He has 2 in his last 4 to 5 games. He's assisting the ball at a really high rate as of late. He is starting to get his groove. And if you watch him offensively, you can see that poise that we saw in the G League Ignite program that he plays with as a already professionally well-built guard. Like, he's a guy that I think you can really lean into. Yes, he had a really rough start to the league, starting the league. Me and you were worried about him the first couple of games going in. He's starting to catch his bearings a little bit. And are the Trailblazers going to be good? No, that's not what you're worried about. You're worried about seeing what you have. Believe in Scoot Henderson. Don't let any of the background noise infect what you got going on.
We basically have the same thing. Live with Scoot Henderson's struggles. He's a rookie. Some of them go like this. Not everyone's gonna be a Victor Wembanyama or Chet Holmgren coming out the gate. Live with it. Stick to the plan. He'll come around. Don't even worry about it. The Denver Nuggets.
Build on what you have. Like, they're a team that I don't think needs to go anywhere in terms of the trade market. They have some interesting pieces like Peyton Watson, who's going to get some real playing time with Aaron Gordon being out, by the way.
Yeah.
That they can really see a lot from. Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, like, they have some interesting pieces sitting on the back of their bench that they can really mold throughout this season, and that could be huge for this team because any different element for them is a punch that they didn't have last season that makes them even more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. They've lost a lot of bench pieces, but they're giving the keys to some of the young guys on the bench, and it's actually working out for them. For me, just get everyone healthy for the playoffs.
Facts.
That's it. As long as everyone's healthy for the playoffs, make sure Aaron Gordon's face is okay. Shout out to him. He got freaking bit up by a dog, which is tough. So hopefully, so hopefully he's okay. But just get everyone healthy for the playoffs, and they'll be good to go. Plain and simple. Next one, the Timberwolves.
Anthony Edwards is that guy. I feel like it's weird to have to say that as if they don't know, but this is the reality of your team moving forward. Anything and everything you do moving forward needs to be with him in mind. Whether you move from Karl Anthony Towns, whether you keep him, whether you expound upon the defense that they have around him, or you decide to keep the leaning with Rudy Gobert, who looks like a DPOY candidate, and Jaden McDaniels, who's been really good when he's on the floor. Everything you do moving forward needs to be with Anthony Edwards in mind. It's not one of those things that's a negotiable tactic anymore. It is how you build this team.
Yeah. For this one, for myself, make the second round. Can you make the second round? They have a really good record in this season so far. I think they're number 2 in the Western Conference at the moment, if not still number 1. Make the second round. You know Anthony Edwards has been great. You have Rudy Gobert as a defensive player of the year candidate once again, and Karl Anthony Towns is coming around. Have those guys playing well. Beat one of the lower teams in the West if you can, and I think like make it to the second round is a successful year for them. So make it to the second round. Next one, the Utah Jazz.
Cancun and casino chips, man. The Utah Jazz are one of those teams that I feel like needs to start looking at their roster and asking themselves, who is here to stay and who is here to go? Lauri Markkanen is going to be a very interesting name because that boy is going to be looking for some money very, very soon. So the same way you talk about selling high on a couple of other guys that we talked about earlier in the podcast, Lauri Markkanen's stock might not be any higher than it is right now. Jordan Clarkson, interesting player. Across the board, Utah has some pieces, and we know they got a guy upstairs who loves him some picks. So let's just look to the summer, see how much assets we can move on to, and start really leaning into the actual rebuild part of the Utah Jazz.
100%. I like that. My New Year's resolution for them, address the point guard position and like commit to a point guard next offseason. Whether that is fully going full on with Keontae George, whether it's sticking with Colin Sexton, I don't know, but just commit to a point guard. You need to start actually building something there. Yes, you had something cooking last year, but now Keontae George is coming in this year. He's having a solid year. You have Walker Kessler as one of your young guys. Ochai Agbaji is still on that roster. The best thing you could do right now is just have someone who's a table setter, and you need to make sure that you have that addressed like as like a permanent spot for the next offseason. That should be your next goal. The Oklahoma City Thunder.
Mom-made pizza rolls, a.k.a. the Big Three, is your only option. Unless a guy like Lauri Markkanen comes up, or a Karl Anthony Towns, or somebody that like really gives you a crazy change of dynamic at that 3-4 position, roll with who you have. The Thunder look like a team that could make it to the Western Conference Finals today, the way they've been playing with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, J-Dub, and Chet Holmgren, the way they've been shooting the ball as a team so far this year. they are a scary team already as young as they are, probably one of the youngest, if not the youngest roster in the NBA. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, this big three is real. This big three is real. So unless you see somebody that is really worth throwing a treasure trove at, and granted, they got a lot of treasure, but unless there's somebody really worth throwing a treasure trove at, stay the course, man. This big three is real.
Hey, look, I think our two resolutions are on the same wavelength. It's tempting. Don't do it. I know it's tempting. You have all these picks in your treasure chest. It's tempting to do something and like try and like say, is this team good enough?
Yeah.
Like you said, let it ride out. This team is damn good. Chet Holmgren is freaking third best odds for defensive player of the year too, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Ride the course, like you said. It's tempting to make these trades, especially when you have all this draft capital with you. Just don't do it yet. Let it ride out with these guys. See what these guys are about, especially come playoff time. All right, let's move on to the Pacific Division. This one might be one of the more interesting ones. The Los Angeles Lakers.
Watch yourself. There's a lot of ways that this season can go. We know the closer it gets to the trade deadline, the more the Lakers talk starts to really increase the volume. I'm not saying your team is bad. You're 17-17, and you've struggled since winning the in-season tournament. We haven't talked about that too much on the podcast, but it is something that's going noticed. Something that's important, though, is yes, this Lakers team can get better, but you don't have as much flexibility as you think you do. So watch yourself.
Do whatever it takes.
Oh my God. See, TV's being toxic today. This is crazy.
This is not even being toxic. I mean, what do you have past this LeBron AD combo? You have nothing. You've emptied the treasure chest. You have no like really promising young players. At this point, just go for it. I really think that like there's nothing that much else to lose past this because you're already committed to this era of your team. LeBron does this to teams, and at this point, just go fully like on board with it. Austin Reeves can stay on the team. Other guys, you guys are not safe. Anyone else, you're not safe. Do whatever it takes. I don't care. Going across the pond, actually same arena still. The Los Angeles Clippers.
You gotta make the Western Conference Finals. Like, I'm sorry, like, what else do you do? Like, oh my God, yeah. Like, what else do you do? You're looking at a summer where Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are both going to become unrestricted free agents. So is James Harden? No.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, of the quote unquote big four, Russell Westbrook's the only one signed through next season. I don't think they're going to leave, right? But it's the fact that it's even a debate, right? We didn't think. Well, maybe we thought Kawhi was going to leave Toronto, but like they won a championship. So you at least thought maybe it would sway him a little bit. So that means we officially don't know. After doing that, we don't know what this dude's capable of, let alone the other two. We unfortunately know what James Harden is capable of, but that in the same way means we don't know what the heck he'll do.
Yeah.
So like, you got to make the Western Conference Finals at least. Y'all opening a new arena next year.
Exactly. For the Clippers, capitalize on your best chance. This is the best chance you got. We were criticizing them at the start of after this trade, but they finally have put it together. Mm-hmm. As long as these guys stay healthy, they got a shot. You just have to capitalize on it. Kawhi and Paul George have not missed many games this year. It looks like they're finally going to have that continuity going to the playoffs, so you got to take advantage. So just do whatever it takes to just stay the course. That's it. Just stay the course. Next, the Warriors.
Get Draymond Green in line. I mean, look, everybody else seems to be on good spirits, right? While he's been gone, Klay Thompson is playing a lot better right now. I think he's leading the league in 3-point percentage, or at least 3-pointers made right now. Somewhere along the he's having a much better 3-point shooting stretch as of late. Steph Curry is doing Steph Curry things. Jonathan Kuminga picking it up a little bit as of late. Kind of a little underlying story with them. Like, everybody's kind of doing relatively well, and the Warriors do have a little bit of capital to maybe make a move here or there closer to the trade deadline, but they need Draymond Green bought in. Like, that's going to be the thing that really ties this team back together, because we know at the end of the day, he gives them an element that not too many other players can give them. And I love this team, but without Draymond Green, they are limited. But if he's going to be a psycho, you're going to be without him for a while.
Yeah, I agree with that. And my thing kind of coincides with that in a sense. Don't let past affect future. I know these guys have brought you a championship, but if it means giving Clay the max, if it means keeping Draymond Green long term and like kind of, how do I say, trapping yourselves into the past, then it's not worth it. We've seen like what has that's been doing to you so far, especially in this season. Yeah. Don't let the past affect the future. Go for what's best for the organization.
I like that.
Do what's best for it. The Sacramento Kings.
Steer the course. The Kings need to remember that they are the Kings. Like, this is not, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. This was one of my favorite teams to watch last year. That's not the point. The Kings need to understand that this is a process. Every single year is not created equal. You did something last year that many people did think was laughable until you actually did it, which is make the playoffs, and not only just make the postseason, but do it as a top seed in the Western Conference. You've come back to earth a little bit because unlike last year, you've had a little bit less injury luck compared to last season. Things are a little bit steeper of a hill because the Western Conference is a lot more compact. Remember who you are and realize that consistency matters a lot more than that big swing that you think you need to take, because I don't think that right now is the time. Keegan Murray is developing. De'Aaron Fox is still one of the best clutch players in the league, and Domantas Sabonis is still a top 7, top 8 center, I think, in the NBA. Don't lose your head thinking that you're somebody else besides the Kings just because of last year.
I like this. I'm liking this topic because we've actually disagreed on quite a bit of these.
Wow, what?
Be aggressive. Do not settle.
What the heck? TV just wants our NBA trade deadline episode to like go viral for some reason. So he's just trying to see all these teams do 2K level Kenny Beecham stuff, and I don't know, man. He's lost it.
No, look, I agree with like a lot of what you said, but the thing about this Kings team is, how much longer is this window? We talk about this window. Sabonis isn't getting any younger. This is prime. This is the best we're going to see out of Sabonis. We're getting a developing De'Aaron Fox. I already said that Pascal should go to Indiana, but he might be like just as good of an option in Sacramento as well. I just think that there's like players in this team, and I know this isn't 2K, but it's like sometimes you can't just keep betting on potential, waiting on those guys to keep like being the people that you want them to be. Sure, they might hit it, but maybe you need to go with the sure thing. They have the pieces there already. They honestly, I don't think it requires that big of a package to even get Pascal Siakam as big as they think. I just think that there's something there, but just don't stay dormant. There could be changes made to this roster. You could build off what you did last year. Be aggressive. Do not settle.
Mind you guys, for anybody who's been listening to the podcast long enough, the most hilarious part about the way this episode is structured, TV is usually the conservative one. That's the most hilarious part that people have to realize about this podcast. This is definitely new year, new me energy for TV on basketball, because this man is coming out swinging. He's usually the conservative one, and he wants to see some stuff happen in 2024 for these teams.
Hey, man. Hey, look, the Kings have been bad for so long. You gotta make sure that I know you don't want to stay bad, but you also don't want to stay dormant. That's all I gotta say. Fair. Last team in the Pacific, the Phoenix Suns.
Can we see the big three play? Like, look, I know they've finally gotten together recently, and it was good to see them get their first win as the big three. Like, that's great and all that. We're finally to that point. But like, we gotta get like 20 games of this before the postseason. We gotta see this team in the postseason playing together as the big three healthy. Like, in 2024, we gotta see if money well spent. Like, for real, when it comes to Bradley Beal.
Hey, mine's basically the same thing. Do not be Nets 2.0. That's all I gotta say. You gotta keep these guys on the court, have them playing, and let them live or die that way. Just do not be the Nets 2.0 and have us being like, what if this happened? What if that happened? Have them on the court, see what they could do. I don't care how low the West is right now, just have them on the court.
Hmm.
The final division, the Southwest Division, starting with the Grizzlies.
Keep Ja in line. I mean, if that boy is focused, he might be able to get this team back to where they need to be. I mean, he came out guns blazing. No pun intended, actually. But,
Fun pulley.
jeez, I just realized how that works. But Ja Morant came out and he came ready to play, like off the rip. He's been aggressive. This team follows their leader in terms of the energy that he brings onto the team. Yes, they're still missing significant guys in Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, but this team goes as Ja Morant goes. And like the West, yeah, they only have 10 wins right now, but like the West is not like defined by any one or two teams just yet. And like the middle is still, for lack of a better way to phrase it, so excuse me, but like the middle of the Western Conference is still a clusterfuck. Like he has a chance to like still make this work. Like the Warriors have 15 wins. Like there's still a way for the Grizzlies to still make this interesting. It doesn't have to be a lost season if they don't want it to be. But Ja Morant has to be all in.
Yeah, I like that. Make it to play in. Just give themselves a chance.
Yeah.
That's all they need. I think if the playoffs come around, we've seen how well they can perform under those lights. Just make it to the play-in, figure out the rest after. You've digging yourself such a big hole at the start of the season. If you can just dig yourself out to a point where you even have a chance of making the playoffs at the end, I think that's gonna be good, especially with how rough they look to start off the season.
Yeah.
Next up, the New Orleans Pelicans.
Can we see these guys healthy? Like, it's funny to joan on the Suns, but golly, the Pelicans are the definition of what happens if they all stay healthy. Like, they have been the living embodiment of that for the last couple of seasons. Obviously steamrolled by Zion Williamson, but they came into this season limping, bro. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
If this team can be healthy and be healthy for a long time, a long enough sample size for us to see what's up.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about Zion Williamson. You know that I got my trepidations about him, but let's be real. When they are kicking, though, this team is really good. Trey Murphy, Jordan Hawkins, Jose Alvarado, Brandon Ingram, Zion, CJ when he's on. Like, this team is good, bro. Like, they really are. But if they're not going to be healthy, then they're not the good team we know they are capable of being.
Yeah. Mine's pretty similar. Let Zion taste playoff basketball. No pun intended.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Just get them to the playoffs. Just get them to the playoffs. I want to see like what a Zion led-ish team is in the playoffs. We've seen how well these guys can perform in these circumstances with Willie Green as their head coach. If Zion is there, then you can get like a real image of what this team looks like going forward. So if he plays well and the Pelicans can stay consistent in the playoffs, then you have something there. But you have to get there in the first place. So just let Zion taste playoff basketball. Yeah. Next up, the Houston Rockets.
Continue with consistency. Like, I know that sounds like really basic, but with them, they've just been a good basketball team. Last year, it felt like the last couple of seasons, it's been up, down, dysfunction after dysfunction. Continuing with not only like consistency, but like competency, right? Like, we've seen what competency brings to a basketball team. The Sacramento Kings last year, the stability that the Orlando Magic now have, right? Even the Portland Trailblazers, despite the fact that they're not good, like they're playing high level, good to watch basketball. And then you have other teams like the San Antonio Spurs, who we'll get to in a minute, or the Detroit Pistons or the Washington Wizards, where you just wonder, what the hell was the plan when you guys stepped on the floor? Like, there are teams that when you don't have that level of competency that's required for 82 games, You look like you don't know how to play basketball. And you look like the AAU team of old that a team like the Houston Rockets has been known to be called up until most recently. Then you have years like these where you see certain teams finally burst onto the scene once they start making some damn sense. The Rockets need to just be focused on making some damn sense. And so far, so good. 16 and 15. Shout out to Alperen Sengun. Loving Jabari Smith. Shout out to the kid Dylan Brooks. They all doing their thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, competency is the big thing for the Rockets right now, and my resolution is very similar to that. Flirt with a play-in spot. It doesn't have to mean you make it or not. It doesn't have to mean that you make it, but just flirt with a play-in spot. Doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you have to make it in. Maybe this team's not ready for postseason basketball, but at least try to be in the race till the very end. That's what I want to see with the Rockets. Flirt around 500, and maybe they make it to the play-in.
TV, can I stop the podcast really quickly just to touch on something that I need to get on the Bulls case real quick because I know we talked about them earlier and I said that we need to fire sale. It is 43-18 at the end of the first quarter against the Philadelphia 76ers.
Wait.
Oh my gosh, bro. Are we serious? Are we serious?
I had them. I had them over the 76ers in our picks. Tough. Oh gosh.
If anybody who zoned out on my Bulls section, I said fire sale. Fire sale, set the building on fire, the players on fire, the staff on fire. Send it all to the gulag. 18-43 at the end of the first quarter is crazy. Oh my gosh.
I thought they would at least fight. Damn. All right, next
team. I'm so sorry we stopped it because we're so close to being done with these 30 teams. But I just couldn't believe what I saw. Wow.
That's crazy. The San Antonio Spurs.
Please play a point guard. Please. Like, I'm not asking you this as a Spurs fan. This is just as somebody that wants to see Victor Wembanyama play well. Like, he's already one of the best rim defending centers in the NBA. Like, he's been really good when they played him at center. Something else that's kind of been like under the radar as of late is that they're finally playing the boy at center. And he's leading the leading blocks. He's one of the league leaders in shots contested around the rim. But on offense, without a real point guard, you're terrible. And when you play a point guard like Trey Jones, you're decent. Like, so play a point guard so we can at least see what the heck this team looks like when they're at least decent, not terrible. Play a point guard.
Okay. Yeah. That they definitely need one. And here's mine. Keep everyone else in line. This is not any of your teams. This is a Wemby's team. I need to stop seeing these other guys not pass a 7'4" demigod the ball. Just everyone get in line. Wemby's the star attraction. We don't care if Keldon Johnson attempts 25 shots a game. No, it's like it's Wemby's the guy. It's plain and simple. Know your role. I hate to say this, and I know like these NBA players have some sort of egos attached to them, but everyone else go in line. You go as Wemby goes. This is how this team is going to be successful. I'm not trying to see this other BS. This is why they're this bad. Wemby's number one. Everyone else figure it out afterwards. All right, the last team, the Dallas Mavericks.
You got to make moves, bro. Yeah. Like, I don't think that necessarily means they got to trade anybody, but like, you got to make Luka Doncic believe in this team. Like, I know Kyrie Irving's been out. Shout out to Dante Exum. He's playing well, and I like it. You know what I mean? Like, this team, I like what they got going on, but they're not selling me on a team that Luka's gonna be a fan of much longer. Like, we've already got this stuff behind the scenes with Mark Cuban. Does he run the team? Where does he fit in terms of the front office for the team? After you remember, he sold the team for like near $4 billion, but he didn't sell the whole $4 billion. You know what I'm saying? He still did like a 3-point something. So he kind of gave him a discount with the underlying thought of, but I can still kind of run the team in basketball operations. Like, they've got a lot of weird questions on and off the floor. They're in the keep the superstar happy territory. And like, they're not a bad team, but I don't know if they're moving me right now. So
For real.
If they ain't moving me, Lord knows how Papa Luca's feeling, because that boy has been dropping like 30 and 40 a night since the beginning of December. Shout out to him and his child that was born earlier last month. He's been hooping. That boy has done his job. But
yeah,
hey, that's about all I can say.
Yeah. Mine is trade related as well. Keep your options open. Don't think that this is the roster to kind of finish it all off. Keep your options open. Maybe not be like super aggressive in the trade deadline and give away a bunch of your pieces, but also make sure that this team is like if there's any other change you want to make, don't just stop here. You have a good team. This is maybe arguably the best team Luka has had, especially with Kyrie Irving now healthy. You got to take advantage of it. Some guys have been stepping up in a big way, but you have to take advantage of this time, and especially with how great Luka's playing. He's like, if they're winning more games, he's like a top 3 MVP candidate, 100%. So yeah, just keep your options open. Jay, we've reached all 30 teams.
Ooh, knocked them out, bro.
Knock them out. Let us know down below what you thought of any of our New Year's resolutions. If you have some for your own team, also let us know down below. Jay, let's move on to the draft segment of the show, and it's time for the Hit Your Free Throws NBA draft. And this one is plain and simple. Jay, the Knicks have been in the news a lot recently, so I decided to make a Knicks team draft. Jay, we have to draft the best Knicks team possible from the players since the year 2000. I didn't want to do it all time because you could easily add, the 90s guys, the 80s guys, because that was like the Knicks in their glory days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're far from that. We're in the 2000s. We're talking about the last 24 years. Our teams, there's going to be some really good ones, but there's also going to be some questionable ones where we're going to have to think about it some more. So we're going to try and draft the best Knicks team possible from players who played since the year 2000. And you're getting the version of them on the Knicks.
Man.
All right, Jay, you ready for this draft?
I am ready.
You like we've done in the past. Jay gets the first pick. I get the next two, and we're going serpentine style. Jay, you get the first overall pick. Who are you going to go with?
Come on, man. Taking Carmelo Anthony, man. Hoodie Melo is in full effect.
Yes, I don't think that was a hard option whatsoever. Carmelo Anthony is off the board. All right, I get back-to-back picks. You know what? We're going to mix a bit of past and present here because I think... Actually, you know what? It's tough, but I'm going to go with this route. These two play with each other in Dallas, but I'm going to have these back-to-back picks over here in New York. Give me Kristaps Porzingis and Jalen Brunson.
Oh,
That's my next two picks.
Cool.
That's my next two picks. I'm getting Jalen Brunson and Kristaps Porzingis.
That's a good pairing. I like that. Let's give me Stephon Marbury.
Like that.
And then put my boy Tyson Chandler at the 5. Come on, man.
I was really hoping you wouldn't go with Tyson.
The legendary volleyball player. Come on, man.
I like that. I like that pickup. All right, that's really good. Okay. That was gonna be my defensive anchor. God damn it. I'm gonna go with. Look, this guy was freaking underrated when back in his day. Give me Allen Houston at the 2 guard, and give me. I don't want to do it. I really don't want to do it.
Oh, is this the part of the podcast? Oh my gosh.
No, you know what? I can't do it to myself. David Lee. Give me David Lee.
No way. Pick David Lee over Julius Randle. No way.
David Lee was a baller
No way.
David Lee was a baller on the Knicks, bro.
No way.
He was a baller in New York.
Deceased, bro. I'm done. I'm really done.
Yo, David Lee averaged 20, 12, and 4. What do you mean?
I'm not hating on David Lee, bro, but that is proof that we can never draft Julius Randle with good faith for this podcast, bro. Because dang, that is brutal. Oh my gosh, that's tough. Jesus, man. Dang, that's tough. Ooh, okay. Wow.
Are you gonna do it? Do it, man.
It won't be me, but heck no, it won't be me. But I'm gonna handle my business though. Guess believe. Here's what we gonna do. We gonna get Jamal Crawford and we gonna put him at the 2. And shout out to the big dog. Arguably, his probably not his most notable year. Probably more known for that run with the Golden State Warriors. Maybe his time in Indiana. But look, arguably, statistic wise, he might have best career in his 2-year stint with the Knicks. Give me Al Harrington at the 4, stretch big style.
I like that.
You ain't pawning him off on me. No, sir.
No, sir. We are not drafting that man. And my final spot, you know what? I'm going to go small, and I really don't care. I'm going to go full offense. It would be unfair to put this team and not put insanity in here. Give me Jeremy Lin to round off the team. Oh, even in a 2006 draft, we are refusing to draft Julius Randle. Jay, give me your all 2000s Knicks team.
All right, so my all 2000s NBA Knicks team is made up of Stephon Marbury at the 1, Jamal Crawford at the 2, Carmelo Anthony at the 3, Al Harrington at the 4, and Tyson Chandler at the 5.
I like it. I like it a lot. Hey, look, I like my team. Defense is questionable, but I like my team. Starting at the 1, give me Linsanity himself, Jeremy Lin. At the 2, give me Jalen Brunson. At the 3, Allen Houston. At the 4, no, we did not go Julius Randle. Screw that. Give me David Lee. I'll take David Lee, bro. And also, let's line it up with Tingus Pingus at the 5.
Man, no Amari Stoudemire in this draft. Crazy. But, I mean, probably better as a son.
Yeah. I was thinking Amari. He was definitely on the short list. Julius
That's
Randle.
hilarious, though.
Hey,
Julius Randle strays on the podcast. What can you do without him, you know?
Yeah, it's becoming a staple at this point. Okay. If you could draft a team better than us, let us know down below. Final segment of the pod, we're going to be doing the NBA quiz. And Jay, this quiz came to me when I was thinking of the Detroit Pistons losing streak. Of course, it was the single season record at 28 games. But Jay, do you know the 2 teams that they beat out who had like the previous single season longest losing streak in NBA history?
Yeah, it was the Philly and Cleveland, right?
Yep, the 2010-2011 Cavs and the 2013-2014 Philadelphia 76ers. And Jay, you're going to have to name me the most used starting 5 for both of those teams. So we're going to try it.
I'm sorry, what?
For both of these starting 5s, we're going to try to name the most used from both these teams. Let's start off with the Cavs, the 2010 and 2011 Cavs. Let's try and go through the starting 5, the most used one. Let's see if you can try to remember these players.
Wait. On the starting 5 for the worst oh, wow. That is no pressure. Wow. No freaking pressure. I got to remember who he was on that team.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. 2010. This is the first. This is the first
right.
LeBron departure, right?
Yes. Yeah, his first year without LeBron.
Oh, my God. Was Mo Williams still on this team?
Yep, starting point guard for this team, Mo Williams.
Oh, this is going to be one struggle bus of a draft, boy. Is J.J. Hickson a starter?
The power forward on this team was J.J. Hickson.
Shout out to J.J. freaking Hickson, man.
Yeah. J.J. Hickson.
Wasn't Baron Davis on this team?
No, he was not. He wasn't. I don't think he was part of this team, but I think he was not part of the main starting 5 at least.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Who else was on this team that's I gotta think of some obscure guys. Oh, I know this is a small backcourt, but did Ramon Sessions start on this team?
He was the guard off the bench. He was
man. I remember there was a time where Ramon Sessions was low-key that he wasn't that guy, but he was you know what I mean? He was cool.
Crazy? So what's crazy is that Mo Williams got injured halfway through the season. He ended up starting the rest of the games, but he didn't play more games than Mo Williams. I started more games than Mo Williams. So
that's brutal.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else is on this team? Did Antoine Jameson start on this team?
Yes, he did.
Oh, say less. I think I know who's on this roster now.
Yes.
I'm gonna name some ugly. I'm about to name some ugly players in a minute. Go ahead and say what you were about to say.
Antoine Jameson is the other forward on this team next to JJ Hickson. You're missing the other guard and the other the center.
Come on, man. That means Daniel Gibson started, man. Come on.
Nope, he did not.
He didn't? So Alonzo G started? Did Alonzo G start?
I think that was the year after was Alonzo G.
I'm about to cry because these are all the nasty names.
Okay, so this is definitely a nasty name, but my biggest hint is that he is the brother of a WNBA Hall of Fame, like a for sure WNBA Hall of Famer.
Oh?
I think she hasn't retired yet. I don't think she's retired yet, but yeah.
Oh Jesus! Is this at the guard position or this is center?
It's the guard. It's the guard. This is the guard.
Okay. All right, we'll have to get back to that.
The center.
You said the center? Oh, that's Verjao. That's Verjao, ugly ass. Yeah, that's the worst 2K player ever in 2K10. Let's not do it. Let's not even do it. The worst player ever in 2K10 and 2K11. Garbage. Absolute butt cheeks. Hey, oh my gosh.
Grabbed rebounds. That's it.
Who the heck are you talking about?
I think he played for the
WNBA player.
He's the brother of a she's like one of the icons of the WNBA. I think she's still playing now. I think she's from your favorite team city.
Oh.
She might have won a championship with them, maybe.
Oh, okay. Now I know what player you're talking about. So that helps me know the last name. This is Anthony Parker.
It is Anthony Parker.
That's nasty that he started. That's gross. That's gross. That's gross.
Hey, look.
Anthony Parker, I remember that, but that is a terrible player. Hey,
look,
that
man.
is a terrible player.
I had some fond memories of him when I was 6, watching him on the Toronto Raptors.
Anthony Parker was one of them players that you just spammed on 2K because he seemed to have the only decent dribble package on that team. And even then, I think that's still probably wrong. I'm probably still somehow talking about Moon somehow. Because I really do feel like Jamario Moon was low-key a sleeper legend.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that's the starting lineup for the 2010-2011 Cavs. Mo Williams, Anthony Parker, Anton Jameson, JJ Hickson, and Anderson Varejao. All right. That is
literally horrible.
That's horrible. It was horrible. 26 straight losses for that team. Next team, 2013-2014 76ers. Hit me with a J.
All right. So we got to think about. So that was the MCW rookie year.
Yep, MCW, the starting point guard on this team.
But we know he started.
Honestly,
shout out to him.
Honestly, I think that 4 of these guys are super gettable for you. It's the 5th guy that's going to be tough.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. My boy Eric Maynard was on this team.
He was, but he did not start.
Okay. But my boy was on this team. I don't know why I remember him on this team because I mainly remember him on 2K with the Oklahoma City Thunder as a backup point guard. But I know that he was on this team. Shout out to my boy who has a podcast now, though. Evan Turner was on this team.
Evan Turner, the starting small forward, is on this team. Okay, so you're missing the power forward, center, and the other guard.
Was Thaddeus Young still around for this team?
Thaddeus Young is the starting power forward for this team.
I'm here with it.
The center, you got the 2 hardest guys left. So you got the 3 easy ones out the way. The center one I think you could still get because he's a 76er staple from those really bad teams. So, he was whether he was starting or coming off the bench, he was kind of a staple of those teams.
Okay. So there's 2 guys that come to mind. The first one is Dwayne Dedmon.
It's not Dwayne Dedmon. I think you might be there though.
The only other player I can think of would be the guy who wore the same colors, different uniform. That's Spencer Hawes, because he also played with the Clippers, I believe, at some point.
It is Spencer Hawes running the center position.
Yeah.
Hey, look, one of the OG stretch 5s.
Yeah, shout out, bro. He had an ugly jump shot, but that jump went in for no reason.
It went in. And did
Jack
it go
Sigma-like.
Exactly. But yeah, Spencer Hawes was the starting center for this team. This team already sounds horrible, but this 2 guard is going to be tough. Um, I don't know how to. I know him. He played for like the Nets as well. He started off his career there. He played a total of 250 games in his whole career.
Oh God.
Um,
250. Did he? Oh,
he
never
started
mind.
six. How the fact that this man started 62 games on this team is a freaking travesty. Like he had like an odd jumper in 2K back in the day. Like he's an okay shooter, but also like
This is a guard. This is a guard though,
the
right?
guard forward. But yeah, he started at the guard position here.
Okay, so this isn't who I thought it was. Because who I thought it was and I just saw this recently for some godforsaken reason, but I just like remembered that like Tony Roten was on this team.
He was also, but he did not start.
Yeah, but then you said guard forward, and that's where it gets tricky because I don't even know how many forwards played on this team.
This had some really. This team was rough, but this
Ooh.
guy. I'll give you his initials because honestly I don't know how to describe him any else. His initials are JA.
J.A.
Honestly, very basic name like J.
This is gonna be so racial because I hate saying this, but it's the only way I can. Is this a light skinned dude?
He is a dark skin.
He's a dark skinned dude. What the heck? Okay,
I
might not have
don't
been
know
whoever I
how to.
thought it was.
I
J.A.
His first name is the last name of a guy whose birthday just passed like 3 days ago in the NBA.
Okay, so his name is James. Okay,
Yeah, there
cool.
you go. I don't know how else to describe
You
this
said
guy.
J.A.
Yeah,
What A last names do I know of for real? Is his name James Anderson or something?
yes, it is
Ew.
James
Oh my gosh.
Anderson.
Shout out to that guy. Oh
I
man.
just,
Shout
I
out to
don't
that.
know.
Cause I was gonna say Anderson or Allen, bro. So it was gonna be tough after that. Sheesh.
This man started 62 games for this. He
Let me
averaged
look up who James Anderson is real
he
quick, bro. Cause
averaged 10
now I need
points
to
a
know.
game, 10 points a game, 42% from the field, 32% from three. I think you might know the face, but it's also a really basic. I don't know how to describe this guy else. He was a like he stayed in the league for 5 years. Like that was his whole.
Every jersey I'm seeing bro in is dang near just a Spurs jersey or overseas.
Yep, James Anderson was a starter for this team.
Shout out to you.
Shout, shout,
I,
shout out to this guy,
I ain't
man.
gonna hate on your flow. It looked like it says he averaged 10 points a game that season.
Yeah, good on him. Good for
Yeah.
him.
Shout
Yeah.
out to bro. Bro shot a measly 32% from three. Like, hey, different times, man.
I don't know what to say about this guy. But yeah, starting lineup for the 76ers, MCW, James Anderson, Evan Turner, Thaddeus Young, and Spencer Hawes. See, here's the thing.
I'll take
Okay,
the Pistons. I'll take the
I'll,
Pistons.
I'll take the Pistons any day over these two teams. I'm not even gonna lie. The fact that they eclipsed them for like losing, it's still bonkers to me. It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, those are our that's the quiz. Let us know down below the other quizzes you want us to do. Jay, first episode of the year is in the books. Another episode is completed. Thank you guys for watching. What do you have to tell these people before we sign out?
I feel good, man. Start off to the new year, 2024. Kicked off by talking about all 30 teams. Did our thing. Yeah, we gave you 5 words. Might have gave you a little bit more for most of them. But we covered all 30 teams, other topics outside of it, still got the staples, and we did it in under 2 hours. I feel like that's an accomplishing way to kick off 2024. That means if you guys think if we can do that in under 2 hours, think about all the other topics that we might have
In store.
under our belt.
Yeah,
Just
man.
waiting for you.
We have a bunch of stuff waiting, and you're gonna find it all this year. Like we mentioned in the last episode, we have a lot of good things coming up for you in 2024. We have our weekly episodes dropping 1 or 2 episodes a week. We're of course we're gonna be getting some guests on the show pretty soon too, so be on the lookout for that. And it's just gonna be a great year, especially with the NBA season turning up soon with the trade deadline, NBA All-Star. There's a lot of things we're gonna talk about, and we're gonna talk about them all throughout this season. But yeah, this is the end of another fantastic episode. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to show love to our personal socials down below. In terms of Hit Your Free List Pod, TikTok, Instagram, any of the podcast networks, YouTube, all that good stuff. Continue to show your support in any way possible. We appreciate all of you. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you all have a fantastic day. This is TV. This is Jay signing out. Take it easy, guys.
Peace.